All right, welcome everyone. We'll call the meeting to order, and Commissioner Manso will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we have a roll call?
Commissioner Donahue? Commissioner Gonzalez?
Present.
Chairperson Gonzalez? Commissioner Meeks?
Here.
Commissioner McKelvey Day?
Here.
Commissioner Monzo?
Present.
Commissioner Purnell?
Here.
Commissioner Ramos?
Here.
All right, full house. And staff introductions?
Myra Robles, Administrative Aide.
Tom Wiles, Senior Planner.
Lisa Brinton, Community Development Director.
We'll open it up now for public comment. Are there any comments from the public regarding items that are not on today's agenda? I will acknowledge we did receive a public comment via email from Maria Ramirez, and staff is looking into the request and the issue. Any other public comments? Seeing as there are none, we'll move into approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was on December 6th, 2023. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners regarding the minutes from our last meeting? Commissioner Donahue?
No questions, and at the appropriate time, I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Manso?
No questions.
Commissioner Meeks?
No questions, but one comment. I would like you to ensure that we have a copy of the minutes when we have meetings. I know they're on the computer, but, so is this other stuff. So usually we do. Usually we have a copy, but we don't this time.
I will remember to include that. Sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner McKelvey Day?
No questions.
Commissioner Ramos?
No question, comments, or concerns.
Thank you. Commissioner Purnell?
No questions.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Donahue. Do we have a second to approve the minutes?
A second.
With a motion from Commissioner Donahue and a second from Commissioner Purnell, we will have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
Commissioner Meeks?
Yes.
Commissioner McKelvey Day?
Aye.
Commissioner Monzo?
Aye.
Commissioner Purnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos?
Yes.
Chairperson Gonzalez?
Yes. All right, it looks like we have no administrative reports and no considerations. Then we will continue with our public hearing. And it is a second amendment to Planned Unit Development Permit 1969-003. And Thomas Wiles, Senior Planner, will present a PowerPoint for this project.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Gonzalez, Commission members. The proposal is a second amendment to Planning and Development Permit 1969-03, or PUD. It's Planning and Development Permit 2023-01. It would allow for residential additions for 124 existing single-family detached dwelling units that are located in La Casitas, units 1 and 2, tracks 607, 615, pursuant to the Residential Low Density Zoning District Development Standards and Design Standards. The proposal has been applied by Hernan and Amita Perez, applicants for the property owner Martina Espino, property owner at 747 Amarillo Way, which is located in the project area. They have requested a proposed residential addition. However, the existing PUD, which was 1969-03, does not allow for residential additions. The proposed second amendment to PUD 1969-03 would allow for residential additions for 124 existing single-family detached dwelling units that are currently zoned residential low density RL 5.5 and located in La Casitas units 1 and 2, or tracks 607 and 615. These additions would have to comply with the development standards and design standards of the residential low density zoning district RL 5.5. As per the applicant, they have submitted 68 of the 124 property owners for the application, which exceeds the 51% requirement as per the zoning code. Attached are the proposed plans for the applicant at 747 Amarillo Way, which included, let me see if we got the, oh, yeah, okay. Here we go. We got the for garage addition and rear yard addition, and the reason that they're requesting is because they want to propose the addition, but it would not be allowed because the PUD currently does not allow for zoning code for building additions in the district. This would allow it, as per stated earlier, RL 5.5 development standards or districts. Background on this. The PUD was originally approved back in 1969, allowed for a 252 lot subdivision with compact homes on 42.25 acres. In 1972, there was another PUD which actually allowed for compact homes in this area, took it out of that area, 58 compact homes of 9.8 acres. And then in 1978, there were there was another PUD for 65 single-family dwellings, and then that became actually a PUD in 1984 for 42 single-family homes and 45 condominiums located to the north of the project site. The surrounding uses to the project site are residential, and this map shows the area that would be covered by PUD 1969-03, and this is the 747 Amarillo Way. This is the subject property that they wish to build the building, the residential addition. Analysis is that the PUD back in 1969 did not state any specific development standards. The amendment would require any residential addition to comply with the RL 5.5 district standards, zoning district. Lot size, minimum lot size is 5,500 square feet. However, any legal lots of record would be allowed the building addition that are located, that as long as they comply with the RL 5.5 district's standards. And the minimum front yard setback is 20 feet, interior side is 5 feet, corner side is 15, rear is 10 feet. There's requirements of distance between structures of 6 feet, and usable open space is 1,000 square feet, or for corner lots, 10% with a minimum 650 up to 1,000. As stated, it would apply to legally created lots, and there is no changes to the number of lots and no changes in lot size. It just allows for the current lots to allow for residential allow for residential additions as per RL 5.5 regulations. These include the development standards and the design standards. The staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council find that Planning and Development Permit 2023-01 exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act per Section 15305, and approve that the City Council approve Planning and Development Permit 2023-01 because it can be found consistent with the General Plan and Zoning Code, and the proposed project was adequately noticed on both of the mailings and posting and published in the Monterey Herald. Are there any questions of staff at this time?
Any questions for Mr. Wiles, Commissioner Donahue?
Not at the moment.
Commissioner Mansell?
Just a quick question to make sure I understand. So this would allow, 124 of the units to have any additions. Does that also count for any additions going up, or just, just covering their area, their unit?
Well, any second-story addition would require what we call residential design review, which would be a separate conditional use permit, because any second-floor addition or any other addition that would fall under the regulations for residential design review would require a separate CUP. They would be allowed to do it as per the zoning RL 5.5 development standards, but that would be for a second-floor addition. It would require a separate CUP as per the residential design residential design review regulations.
Yeah, I'm just thinking ahead, just because if it's getting a lot of folks that are able to do that, that's usually where a lot of unhappy neighbors, when, their sign light is being, or view into the yards. So, okay, so that would have its own process if someone would want to have something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Commissioner Meeks?
I'll reserve my questions for later. Thank you.
Commissioner McKelvey Day?
I had a question regarding the garage. I saw the garage is being expanded. Is that part of what was required, or did they just want a larger garage space?
Well, under the current code, you have to have, single-family residential requires garage parking for 2 vehicles, and there is a certain square footage, I think, and I don't know if they would require it in this one, because I think it's under the 499, it's like 499 or less. You don't need it. 500 square feet you do, but I think in this case, they want to provide additional garage parking, and under the current code, a single-family residence requires 2 garage parking spaces, 20 by 20.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ramos?
No questions.
Commissioner Purnell?
I have a few clarifying questions. So essentially, the background of this request is because 2 folks who live in the area wanted to make additions, but they're not permitted as zoning stands.
Well, because when it was they were kind of small lot development at the time, and back in 1969, it was approved by what we call Plan Unit Development Permit, 1969-003, and it did not allow for additions when it was passed. And so what the request, in order for them to have the additions, they have to amend the PUD to allow for it.
And then essentially, to approve these 2 would allow 124 other units to potentially add on, should they be
Correct,
interested.
yeah, as per the site plan.
And is there a need for like a traffic evaluation plan? I think anyone who lives in the east side knows that parking is interesting. Is there an infrastructure impact? Like, should these people potentially build on the 124 units?
Well, these, this, it's for, right now, the 124 existing units, all the lots, so any of those lots could make a building addition as per RL 5.5 district standards. As far as any fees, that would be calculated at the time of building permit submittal.
And what's the like geographic mileage or square footage of those units? Like, how big is it?
This is the area here. So these are the 124 units that would be impacted by the PUD, and this is the subject property here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any we will open it up now for public comment. Are there any comments from the public regarding this item? Hi.
So I'm Armida Perez, and so that's the unit. It's a 1-bathroom unit with 5 adults, and that's what we're trying to do, is have a second bathroom added. And that's the main reason we're here, is for an additional bathroom. So right now, our adult children are living with us, and so that's why there's people that are adding to their garage to having even a whole family in there. All we're asking for is a bathroom. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments regarding this item?
Yes, Marianne Warden. Those homes are small homes, and they're not really big, because I've been in a lot of them. The ones on a lot of them are the houses are connected to, the garages are connected to each other. In fact, this week I noticed, I think it's on the corner of Ryder and Amarillo, or Ryder and Bermuda. They've made that into a room. They took the garage, put 2 new big windows in it, and a garage and a door. That's just been done. And I didn't see no permit. We have another one right there on Ryder. They had made a 2-story about 2 years ago. It took them about 4 years to get it made. I didn't even see the permit. They're adding on to the back of it. Now they do have a permit. That area is so packed with cars, and a lot of those cars are coming into my neighborhood and parking at night. It's a very crowded area. We don't need any more apartments. We don't need any more added rooms in there that's in that section, because they're smaller yards than mine. They all have big sheds and every other kind of junk that you can find in there. And that you can see it from the road. And years ago, on traffic, it was voted, and then it went to city council for a stoplight with La Casitas and Constitution. Till this day, it's never been put in. And I have witnessed many accidents there. The last one we met was either May or June. The ambulance and the fire department were all out there. So
Thank you.
we don't need any added stuff there in that particular area because it's really crowded.
Thank you for
Really,
your
really
comments.
crowded.
Thank you. All right, are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Additional questions or comments? Commissioner Donahue?
Just a quick or restatement from the applicant. This is to add a bathroom for folks who already live in it.
Yeah, no bedrooms, just a
Okay, so in terms of,
We only have one bathroom, so we would like.
no, I understand, yeah. So, but it doesn't generate more parking and all that fun stuff. They're already there, everybody's doing their thing, just needs more amenities. Okay, I just want, sure.
Nobody else is going to live in our home. It's just us. We just need the second bathroom for us.
Understood.
And we would like to have, the extra space in our garage also to park, our cars into the garage. That's what the garages are for.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that was it.
Thank you. Commissioner Mansell?
I'm not against if they're just putting a bathroom
Thank-
into their home. I'm not against that, okay?
Understood. Thank you so much.
Other apartments.
Yes, that's clear. Thank you. Commissioner Meeks?
I have a question for the petitioner. The bathroom, that's the addition on the back of the house? Okay. And you're widening the garage, which will give you space in the driveway for 2 cars?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner McKelvey Day?
No questions.
Commissioner Ramos?
No questions.
And Commissioner Purnell?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Would any commissioners like to make a motion?
Could staff make one statement real quickly?
Yes, opening it up to staff before we move on with the motion.
So I heard a question from one of the commissioners about residential design review when a second story would be proposed. Checking the ordinance, any subdivision that's subject to a PUD is exempt from the RDR residential design review provisions. So I guess the question is, if RDR is desirable for second story additions, especially this is being a small lot subdivision, I think we need to add a condition that requires applicability for the RDR process for this particular subdivision. And I think there's a good spot to put it. We could probably work out the final language, but somewhere in condition number 1, where it indicates that it's subject to the development regulations and the design standards of residential low density, we could have a comma that says including infill development regulations, and that would cover it. But specifically, the RDR process was exempted from areas that have specific plans and PUDs.
Could you repeat what would be potentially included in condition number 1?
Sure.
Including infill.
Yeah, condition number 1, it says residential low density RL55 district regulations and design standards. Right around there, a comma, that would be and subject to residential infill regulations, comma. We'll have to figure out the final language, but the concept would be any addition that is subject to RDR for the rest of the city would also be applicable in this particular subdivision at this PUD. That means that second-story additions would be subject to RDR. If a house were torn down and a new house built, it would be subject to RDR.
We'll open it up to questions on this element.
Just a couple quick questions. This will go to council for, so is it appropriate to ask that, to Courtney's amendment, that, you know, this is one action, but it prompted a question from Commissioner Monzo that was acted upon? Because if I were on the council, I'd want to know that was added on. I don't have any problems with it, but I'd want to know that you're doing that, and just so everyone was aware.
We can definitely clarify that, and you can give direction through the motion that you're recommending approval with the addition of this language as prompted by this discussion.
Exactly what I was going to say when I was planning on the
Yeah,
motion.
sorry. Didn't mean to steal your thunder.
So you can view my response as a motion also, since I was playing on the floor. I don't know that I had it, but I was playing on it.
Looks like condition number 3 is another spot where it should go, because there's a reference to development standards and design standards. But I'd like to look at it a little more carefully to make sure that we're not missing any other spots. But the concept is that the commission desires RDR for second-story additions.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners, in particular regarding the addition that Courtney's describing?
Just confusion.
If I can just make a comment. Okay.
Commissioner Monzo?
I just had a quick question. So then, I guess where my mind has been, why I asked about the garage, was that the parking would be addressed at some point in the process. And so that would be in the design review, or where does that come into play?
It depends. As Tom suggested, parking does not even become a question until and if a certain point when the addition reaches a certain square footage. I think 500 square foot is the threshold. I don't know what these square footage additions are. I'm guessing they're well under that. So in this case, the parking would not be a requirement to be addressed.
But I just mean, if we're opening this up, I just don't want it to, then they have a challenge because we didn't address something that could be a problem with a different situation,
Right. I think by the zoning code referencing RL55, I think it gets to the parking section automatically.
Okay.
Another scenario where parking would come into play when the numbers of bedrooms goes over 5, I think it is. I think it's the 5th bedroom. 5 and above will trigger parking as well. There's
Okay.
a third parking stall that comes into play. But of course, if these additions are located within a half a mile of a bus stop that has service of 15 minutes or better, no parking is required at all in the city. For commercial, for residential, or industrial, for all land uses. That's a new rule that just came alive in the state.
Anything else, Commissioner McKelvey-Day?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Monzo, and then Meeks?
Yeah, I was just going to make the comment that I'm glad that you answered that question, because I think I'm thinking ahead of what people might be upset about in the neighborhood is usually the second story. So yeah, I think, so just naming that I'm on board with Commissioner Donahue's potential motion to cover that part.
Commissioner Meeks?
My comment for Commissioner Day is that essentially this takes 2 vehicles off the street, because you have a 2-car garage and 2 cars parked in the driveway, just by widening it that small amount. It actually potentially reduces.
Well, I like their scenario. We're saying that additions will now be allowed, where they had to bring it to this point for us before. No, the same scenario wouldn't. So I was just asking, is there kind of a safeguard there that if there was potential for, like the bedroom additions, that would be addressed at that time?
So just to recap, the addition that Courtney is mentioning would help address some of the concerns around density that were mentioned by the commissioners and in public comment. All right, and with that, would anyone, Commissioner Donahue, would you like to make a motion?
What Lisa said. Well, no, I motion to approve with the caveat that that the proposed change by Courtney is flagged or part of the staff report to council, so that they're aware that, you know, that change is going to be made also on top of this particular transaction.
Great, so there's a motion from Commissioner Donahue to approve the Second Amendment to Planned Unit Development Permit 1969-003 with the additional language in conditions number 1 and 3 around infill regulations, and that be named clearly to the council, that's been added. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, with multiple seconds.
2 seconds.
So with a motion from Commissioner Donahue and a second from Commissioner McKelvey Day, we'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks?
Yes.
Commissioner McKelvey Day?
Aye.
Commissioner Monzo?
Aye.
Commissioner Purnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos?
Yes.
Chairperson Gonzalez?
Yes. All right, the Planning Commission's action on this item is a recommendation to the City Council in support of planned unit development. This is a different number than, okay, great. 2023-001 with the condition, with the additional language added. And staff will schedule the matter for the City Council's consideration, at which time a final decision will be made. Oh, so we've approved this to go to City Council. Yeah. That's right, that's right. Yes, yes. It sounds like there will be communication with you all and regarding when that will appear on the City Council agenda. One more step. Almost there. Oh, no. I just wanted to make sure everyone was clear. All right. Other business. We have the General Plan Steering Committee update. I have nothing to add there since I haven't been to any meetings since the last, there haven't been any meetings with the steering committee as far as I know since our last meeting. Are there any updates from staff regarding general planning?
So on February 1st, we had an active transportation and circulation workshop at the Bread Box that was attended by 20-plus community members. While they were small, it was reported out that there was very good conversation regarding the topic. We are calling February Land Use Month. So we are doing our extra due diligence, including mailers, letters, canvassing, and we'll be holding 3 Zoom webinars to discuss the proposed land changes that could have potential impacts on certain properties with the change in use. So we are really taking that extra effort, and we're calling this Land Use Month. And we will be sharing the outcomes of those conversations, as well as some recommendations coming out of the conversations related to traffic and transportation at our March update to the City Council, which will be on March 12th. So we are marching forward.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners about the general plan work in February? I just had one question. How will the Zoom webinars be publicized?
Exactly.
So at this point in time, we've just issued the notices, but we will be putting it out as we get closer on social media and website as well. So, and I'm sure Monica Gurmilan will also be sharing the information through our constant contact email chain, so with the steering committee as well as AVP contacts.
You know, this seems to be an issue in my mind with so many things. I live 2 blocks away. If I would have known that was going to happen, I would have been there. But how are you informing people? And I keep saying we should at least go on the community service thing that KSBW does and say, you know, put a blurb on there, it's free. You know, and I keep saying that, you know, these things are published in the Herald, but not the Californian. Well, I can understand nobody reads newspapers anymore anyway, so I kind of let that one go. But we need to think of a better way to let the public know what's coming up.
Actually, you brought up, I was going to have it a side question, not related to that, but I was wondering why we do put all the notices in the Herald. And like I know from what my experience has been, a lot of people use like Nextdoor app and that type of thing where I see even Marina posting what's happening in the city council meeting and then what happened. And I think that maybe we need to look at a better way of communicating, because definitely I'm on that constant contact, so I do get notifications. I try to make what I can, but I so often share with people that I attended something and they're like, what? When was that? And they just have no clue. So, you know, I don't know. We need to do a little better, I think, at notices and how we go about that.
Thank you. Any future agenda items?
Yes, got a couple of those. It looks like our next meeting on the 21st will have 2 items. It appears to be 98 KIP, which is a GPA and a rezone for a residential development. I think there's a neg deck in there, or a mitigated negative declaration in there for environmental review. And I think we just recently added one a couple hours ago for an RDR on Boulevard Street. That'll be a brand-new 2-story house. And then eventually, we're going to get to the cannabis permit on South Main. We had some discussions with the applicant. Plans are being revised, and we're trying to put together a hearing for that. I don't have a date set yet, but it's coming.
Great, thank you. And so our next meeting will be, as Courtney said, February 21st. Just wanted to follow up on Commissioner Purnell's request to start the meeting at 4 p.m. Were you able to find out if that's possible?
So this came up at the last meeting, and we're still looking into the details on how to make that happen. There are a number of places where we have to make changes. I believe that this can happen. We're still looking into that process.
Great, thank you. So for our meeting on February 21st, can we see a show of hands who will be able to attend? It looks like we may have quorum already.
So that side, yes, this side, no.
Yeah, that CTA conference.
And with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.